They will tell you to follow your passion. They will say, do what you love. But what they will never tell you is the truth behind every empire ever built. Discipline. Ruthless, relentless, unbreakable discipline. Because passion will fade. Motivation will evaporate. But discipline is the steel backbone of kings. It is the unseen force that wakes you up before the world stirs. That whispers in your ear when the crowd goes silent. That drags your tired body forward when your mind screams to quit. Every man who has ever risen from obscurity to greatness has knelt before the altar of discipline. Not talent. Not luck. Not even opportunity. Discipline. Henry Ford didn't build an automotive revolution because he had better luck. He showed up every day, rejected failure, embraced struggle, and demanded excellence even when his first designs crumbled. Walt Disney was fired for lacking creativity. He slept on benches. He went bankrupt. But he kept showing up. Day after day. Idea after idea. He moved forward when life gave him every reason to retreat. That's discipline. That's fire. That's destiny forged through repetition. Understand this. Your future does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you're willing to do again and again. Without applause, without reward, without validation. That's the price of greatness. That's the sacrifice of vision. And yet most people live like leaves in the wind. Tossed around by emotion, circumstance, and fleeting motivation. They wait to feel ready. But readiness is a lie. Discipline doesn't wait for feelings, it commands them. You do not rise when it's convenient. You rise because your standard is not negotiable. Burn this into your soul. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. The freedom to become who you were born to be. Unshackled from the chains of weakness, doubt, and distraction. The man without discipline becomes a slave to every temptation. But the man with discipline becomes the master of every situation. It begins with a single choice. A line drawn in the sand between who you are and who you refuse to be any longer. You wake up before the world. You do the hard thing first. You train the mind like a warrior sharpens his sword. Daily, ruthlessly, without excuse. The gym. The study. The craft. The grind. Not once. Not sometimes. Always. Because every day you delay, you reinforce the lie that comfort is safer than growth. But growth only comes when comfort dies. Not genius. Not charm. Not education. But definiteness of purpose and unwavering self-discipline. They moved with precision. They acted with clarity. And they trained themselves to persist longer than anyone else. That is your call now. To abandon the life of the average. And to rise with the spirit of the relentless. To become the kind of man or woman who does not need motivation. Because your mission is embedded in your marrow. You set the alarm. You keep your word. You train when it's raining. You grind when you're tired. You reject shortcuts. You bury excuses. Because you know, discipline is the difference between wishing and winning. Let them laugh now. Let them mock your obsession. Let them question your silence while they scroll their lives away. Because while they drift, you build. While they react, you create. While they choose comfort, you forge character. And there will come a day, sooner than they think, when results will roar louder than any opinion ever whispered. So tighten your grip. Square your shoulders. And look your future dead in the eyes. Not with hope, but with resolve. Because you are not chasing dreams anymore. You are becoming the kind of person who turns those dreams into results. Not once. Not sometimes. But every single day. That is unbreakable discipline. But where does this discipline truly begin? It does not begin in the gym. It does not begin at your desk. It begins deep inside your mind. In the battlefield of belief. Because before any action is taken, before any habit is built, before a single drop of sweat falls from your brow, you must decide who you are. And most people? They never decide. They drift. They absorb beliefs from broken people. They inherit doubt from the defeated. They adopt limitations from those too afraid to chase freedom. But not you. Not now. You must choose to believe that you were not born to be average. You were not born to blend in. You were not born to play small in a world built by giants. There is something within you. A divine spark, a voice, a force. And it has been whispering to you your whole life. You were made for more. But belief is not a feeling. Belief is a discipline. Belief is forged through repetition. Through declaring the truth over your life. Until it drowns out the lies you've been fed since childhood. You must rewire your mind. You must speak power into your reflection. You must become obsessed with your own potential. Not in arrogance, but in alignment with the greatness planted within you. Winston Churchill once said, "To each, there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do something truly great. But most never answer. Because belief is uncomfortable. Belief is expensive. Belief demands that you stare your fears in the face and say, 'I am not owned by you anymore.' And when you finally believe, not just wish, but believe, you gain a power most people never touch. Vision. The ability to see what isn't there yet. To hold an image in your mind so clearly that the world begins to bend around your will. Think of Thomas Edison. 1,000 failed prototypes. 1,000 ways the world told him to stop. But in his mind, he had already seen the light. He lived inside his vision. He moved with certainty. He knew the power was not in what others could see, but in what he could see before it was real. That is your call. Not to react to reality, but to reshape it. Write your vision. Speak your vision. Obey your vision. Let it become the compass by which you make every decision. Because when the world gets noisy, only your vision will keep you centered. When you are tempted to quit, only your vision will keep you moving. And the clearer your vision becomes, the more power it gives to your discipline. Because now you're not waking up early just to suffer. You're waking up early because you know where you're going. You're not avoiding distractions because it's the right thing. You're avoiding them because they threaten the future you refuse to forfeit. Do not mistake clarity for comfort. The clearer your purpose becomes, the heavier your responsibility gets. You can no longer play small. You can no longer entertain mediocrity. Because every time you do, you betray the man or woman you're becoming. Your vision must become sacred. You guard it like treasure. You fight for it like a soldier defends his country. You protect it from the cynics, the doubters, the lazy. And most importantly, you protect it from the weakest version of yourself. Because the most dangerous enemy of your future is not the one outside you. It's the one inside you who whispers, "Take it easy. You've done enough. You can slow down now." No. You silence that voice. You rise above it. You lead it. Because the disciplined man does not obey his emotions. He commands them. And now that your mind is aligned, now that your belief is active and your vision is ignited, you must marry them to something eternal. Purpose. And purpose isn't what you do. It's who you are. It's the reason you endure. It's the reason you rise again when the world beats you down. It's the fuel that turns your vision into destiny. And your struggle into story. Purpose is the fire that never goes out. It's not found in convenience or comfort. It's born in resistance. In the lone, dark hours when no one is watching. When you feel forgotten. When the world offers no reward but you keep going anyway. That is purpose. It is not a job. It is not a title. It is not applause. It is a vow you make with your soul. A contract you sign with your Creator, stating that no matter what the world throws at you, you will not break. You will not bow. You will not back down. Purpose gives your discipline meaning. Without purpose, discipline becomes punishment. But with purpose, it becomes fuel. With purpose, you no longer ask, "What do I feel like doing?" You ask, "What must be done?" And that question carves warriors from weaklings. That question separates legends from the lost. That question turns the average into immortal. Think of Abraham Lincoln. Defeated in elections, crushed by grief, mocked by opponents. But his purpose was larger than pain. It was larger than loss. It was larger than any wound. And so he rose, again and again, until the world had no choice but to follow him. That's what purpose does. It gives you the strength to rise when everything else tells you to stay down. It teaches you that the mission is bigger than your emotions. It sharpens your focus like a blade. It takes the blurry chaos of life and crystallizes it into clarity. And once you have that clarity, once your belief, vision, and purpose are in alignment, you must step into the most dangerous, yet divine, arena of all: execution. Because without action, belief is fantasy. Without action, vision is delusion. Without action, purpose is a pretty thought with no teeth. You must move. Every single day. Without fail. Without excuse. Without negotiation. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if you're tired, hurt, rejected, broke, or scared. You execute. You act. You move like your life depends on it, because it does. The world will reward you for what you do, not what you intend. It honors effort. It multiplies momentum. It respects the man who keeps showing up, long after everyone else has surrendered to comfort. Do not look for motivation. Build systems. Build routines. Create rituals so strong, they become your religion. Wake up early not to prove a point to others, but to prove to yourself that your will is stronger than your weakness. Track your progress. Measure your growth. Celebrate your consistency, not your outcomes. Because the disciplined man is not obsessed with immediate success. He is obsessed with becoming the kind of person who cannot be defeated in the long run. And it is in the mundane, in the repetition, in the boring, in the invisible hours, that greatness is built. Muhammad Ali once said, "I hated every minute of training. But I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." You must become the person who trains like that, who works like that, who lives like that, who is willing to be misunderstood now, so you can be remembered forever. Do not fear hard work. Do not fear discipline. Fear being the same person next year that you are right now. Fear waking up at 80 and realizing you lived a life built on distractions, excuses, and soft decisions. Because every day you delay your greatness, someone else who is less talented, less intelligent, and less experienced is grinding with more heart, more hunger, and more discipline. Success is not reserved for the chosen. It's reserved for the committed. And commitment shows up in action. Daily. Relentlessly. Obsessively. The disciplined man doesn't just rise early, he owns the morning. He doesn't just train his body, he commands it. He doesn't just avoid failure, he chases mastery. And you must become him. Not someday. Not when it's easier. Not when it's popular. Now. Because every second matters. Every choice counts. And every step taken in discipline is a step away from regret. And a step toward the future you were destined to build. But life will not care about your plans. It will test you. It will blindside you. It will break the very routines you built with your own blood and sweat. And in that moment, you will discover a deeper layer of discipline. Adaptability. Because discipline is not just doing the same thing over and over. It is the commitment to your mission. Even when the path changes, the world will throw storms. The schedule will break. Your body may ache. People will leave. Money will vanish. Opportunities will slip through your fingers. And still, you must adapt, never abandon. Think of Thomas Edison when his factory burned to the ground. Years of work gone in flames. His response? He didn't fall to the floor. He didn't curse fate. He told his son, "Go get your mother. She'll never see a fire like this again." And by morning, he was sketching blueprints to rebuild everything better. That's adaptability. That's the mindset forged in the fires of discipline. Because discipline gives you something that nothing can take from you. Resilience. The ability to bend, but not break. To fall, but not stay down. To suffer, but never surrender. You see, most people think discipline is about being perfect. But discipline isn't perfection, it's persistence. It's getting back up 100 times after falling 99. It's recommitting every morning. Even after a night filled with doubt, fear, or failure. It's easy to be disciplined when life is smooth. But the real ones, the legends, the leaders, the giants, they stay disciplined when everything collapses. They use pain as fuel. They use chaos as training. They use hardship as a classroom. And they emerge sharper, harder, more dangerous than ever before. Your trials are not obstacles. They are opportunities to prove what you're made of. Your setbacks are not punishments. They are invitations to dig deeper than you ever have before. Because resilience is not born in comfort. It is born in the fire. The sleepless nights, the quiet disappointments, the days when no one believes in you but you. It is in those moments that you find out. Do you truly have discipline? Or do you just have convenience masked as commitment? And if you want to last, if you want to rise and stay risen, you must learn how to suffer with strength. How to lose without losing yourself. How to be relentless even when the world looks at you and says, "You should quit." No. You double down. You anchor deeper. You remind yourself that you were not built to break. You were built to build. Every failure is feedback. Every mistake is education. Every delay is refinement. And so, you lean into learning. You study yourself. You review your patterns. You analyze your habits like a scientist and a soldier. You don't just go through life. You grow through it. Because discipline is not blind obedience. It is conscious mastery. It is choosing to become your own coach, your own commander, your own craftsman. Holding yourself to standards the world will never understand. You are not here for applause. You are not here for approval. You are here to elevate. To elevate your mind. To elevate your actions. To elevate your entire being into something unrecognizable to your former self. And every time you fall short, you don't retreat, you recalibrate. You ask, where did I slip? What thought did I let win? What lie did I believe? And how will I never let that happen again? Because true discipline isn't just repeating the right things, it's removing the wrong ones. Every doubt you let linger? Gone. Every excuse you used to justify delay? Erased. Every weakness you coddled out of comfort? Confronted and destroyed. You evolve daily. Because your future demands it. Your legacy requires it. And legacy is not built in one heroic moment. It's built in 1,000 small decisions. When no one is watching. And everyone else is quitting. And now, we come to the final evolution. The place where discipline stops being what you do. And becomes who you are. Because at some point on this path, you will no longer recognize the man who started. The weak one. The one who needed motivation. The one who craved comfort. The one who begged for validation. That version of you dies along the way. Burned in the furnace of repetition. drowned in the storms of resistance, buried beneath the weight of your own higher standard. And from that grave, a new force rises. A weapon of purpose, a machine of will, a soul forged in fire. You don't try to be disciplined anymore. You don't have to think about doing the right thing. You simply do it. Because anything less feels like betrayal. You have rewritten your identity. You're not someone who works hard. You are a worker. You're not someone who tries to be consistent. You are consistency. You're not someone who wants success. You are success in motion. It drips from the way you walk. It echoes in your silence. It radiates from your presence. You have become the kind of person who intimidates mediocrity just by existing. Let them stare. Let them gossip. Let them wonder how you keep showing up. When life keeps punching, kicking, bleeding you, they won't understand. Because they don't know what it means to bury the old self every day and rise again with fire in your chest. But you know. You know the hours. You know the pain. You know the price. And you would pay it again. Because what you've gained, it cannot be bought. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be inherited. It must be earned with unbreakable discipline. And now the world can see it. In your posture. In your decisions. In your silence. In your results. The seeds you planted in the darkness have begun to bloom in the daylight. And now, they will feed generations. You are no longer fighting for success. You are success. You breathe it. You bleed it. You carry it with the sacred responsibility of a warrior who knows his battle scars were not for nothing. You no longer fear failure. Because failure is your teacher, not your master. You no longer chase validation. Because you've built your self-worth on something far more powerful. Standards. You no longer compare yourself. Because you are too busy becoming the man you were born to be. And that man, that woman, they do not bend. They do not bow. They do not break. They build. They lead. They persist. They rise even when the world says stay down. This is who you are now. Not because of luck. Not because of talent. Not because of shortcuts. But because every single day, you made the harder choice. You kept going. You trained your mind like a soldier. You made your habits holy. You embraced the pain. You silenced the noise. You built yourself from the ground up. You became the kind of person who earns power, respect, and victory. Not through noise, but through execution. And now you look back at the old version of you. And you whisper, thank you for not quitting. Because everything you have now, everything you are now, was waiting on the other side of that choice. And for the rest of your life, when people ask how you did it, how you built it, how you became unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable, you'll look them in the eye and speak the only truth that matters. Discipline. Unbreakable discipline. That is the key. That is the code. That is the difference. And now it lives in you. Forever.